Hello, welcome to my channel. This video is going to be a little different than my other videos. It's going to be a story time about the time I went to a Christian witch clairvoyant. So I wanted to go to a psychic. I think psychics are really cool. So this was a number of years ago. I was in my early 20s, kind of in limbo, going to college, but it wasn't really working out as expected. I was unsure of my future, and I wanted some clarification on some things. In retrospect, I probably needed a psychologist rather than a psychic. Regardless, I found a little shop, and it was adorable. It had crystals, it had incense, and it had a clairvoyant. For those of you wondering, a clairvoyant is a person who claims to have a supernatural ability to perceive events in the future or beyond normal sensory contact. So I went in there and I wanted a palm reading. It was advertised on the window for $10. I went up to the clairvoyant and she was warm and welcoming and also sold me on a crystal reading, which would give me more insight and more detailed information on my situation. The crystal reading was $25, and that was my first mistake. So she pulls out this crystal rod, and I hold one end, and she holds the other. I believe it was a white quartz rod. Either way, she closed her eyes and started telling me I had a nice, sweet spirit. And then she went on to say that I had a dark, negative, dangerous baggage that I was lugging around from my past life. She said, I try and do good things, and I try and be successful, but something always holds me back. She said I go one step forward and two steps back, and at that point in my life, she wasn't wrong. At this point, she struck a chord with me, not to say she had any psychic ability, but I wasn't in the best headspace at the time, and she did a good job of highlighting my biggest fears and insecurities. She went on to tell me about what exactly happened in my past lives that caused this destruction. Apparently, 2 lives ago, I had a really good life. I had a husband, I had kids, I had money, I was happy. And this was all until my husband cheated on me with my best friend. She said that I started to withdraw from people, and I divorced him and isolated myself and went into a deep, dark, long depression until I eventually committed suicide. Then in my next life, which is the life before this one, I was born into a really poor family and I had emotional problems and I became a prostitute and eventually committed suicide yet again. She then said if I don't get rid of the negative damage from my past lives, I will inevitably become so depressed that I will end my life yet again. But of course, she offered a solution. She said she would rid me of my horrible fate and cleanse my soul with the power of Jesus Christ with a healing ceremony. And it was only $200. Wow. I was taken aback by that, to say the least. And I wish I could tell you I walked out of there and went on my merry way. But this Christian witch got in my head. So I paid this complete stranger $200 to clean my soul. So after I paid in cash, she gave me a list of things to do that night and then call her back in the morning. On this list, it said, bring 12 red roses to a church as an offering to get back into God's good graces. Number 2, take a shower and have cleansing thoughts. And number 3, this was a fun one, put a piece of white bread under your pillow so that the negative energy gets trapped in it while you sleep. So, I did it. I immediately regretted this decision. I didn't think it would work, but I already gave her my money. So I gave it a shot, and sure enough, the next morning I called her, and she told me I sounded different already, and that I'm all good now. I didn't feel any different. I felt $200 poorer, but did it work? No, of course it didn't. But I will say it made me aware of how much pain I was really in. I was willing to pay a stranger to make me feel better. I needed a spiritual solution, and it was my attempt to being spiritual. Now, I didn't realize this right away. I definitely just felt like I got ripped off. But over time, I started to have a real spiritual practice. You know, now I pray, I meditate, I treat myself right. I'll work out sometimes and eat a healthy diet, try and stay balanced. I mean, it is kind of a coincidence that I became really a lot more spiritual after this experience. Did I have to give this woman $200 and do her little weird errands? Probably not, but I did. I don't think she was a psychic. I think she was a businesswoman. But I do still believe in psychics. I believe people who have a higher sense of consciousness are able to see things that we can't necessarily see. In fact, I think anyone could heighten these senses with the right practices. I have another video on crystal healing, and I'll link that down below. I'll also put some links for some interesting videos on this topic that aren't mine, but I really enjoy. Also, stay tuned. I have more videos coming out. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And remember, take it easy, one step at a time. Breathe, you are amazing, and if no one told you today, you are loved and you are a miracle.